Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hey. Hi, good morning. I've been up for a while. I had a fabulous vacation and I'm back now. Hi, Krishna ji. Namaste, Krishna ji. And I'm ready to do this with Guruji, but I've been up for a very long time already, maybe more than 5 hours. So it seems more like afternoon for me. It's been a really crazy week. Hi, everybody. I am. I'm doing well. I am. I am moving places this week, so it's gotten really busy. I have my girls at home. Hey there. Oh, you're at work. I'm glad you popped in. No, I actually slipped. I used to wake up very early, and then I kind of last month, my pattern got very disturbed, and I started sleeping much later. Once you sleep late, and I still, your body is used to waking up early, but then that really affected how I was feeling inside. So now I started sleeping early again, and it's really lovely. I think to just after a certain age, it's almost impossible to wake up late. I feel like our nervous system wakes up in the morning once the sun is out. So if we sleep late, and we're still going to probably wake up early, and over a period of time, that's very exhausting to the body. And I feel like a little bit of that happened with me last month. Hi, Asmita. And so the only solution, right, Kapila, the only solution after a certain age is to actually go to bed early. Whatever, whether it's 9:30 or 10:30. I slept at 10:30 last night, so it wasn't hard to wake up, and I slept really, really deep. You'll see if you sleep around that time, you end up sleeping really deep. What also helps is not having any caffeine in the day. So if I have caffeine ever, right, even if it's Guruji's here, he's going to join soon. Even if I have a little bit of caffeine, it's different. But if I don't, then it's much easier. Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you.
Today the connection is great. We are back to our normal setting. It seems good.
See, Narada Muni gave us little pinning, so now we prepared, so we are ready for delivering the right message.
Yeah, a lot of that has happened in my life this 1 week, right, Guruji? I always feel that everything happens very easily for me. Everything, always. Things just happen. Even if things are going up, down, they go up. And this last week has been a little shaky for me. It's testing my faith. It's testing my faith to see whether what's going on. But I'm glad to have you here, Guruji, for another session with you. Which is really truly makes us all think. And we spoke about the 4 Purusharthas last week, Guruji. And you told us so nicely that the guide is within us as we go through Sansar. And as long as we allow that guide to be with us, it will direct our journey. We don't need an external prescription for this much dharma, this much kama, this much moksha, this much artha. It will just happen, right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, Guruji, thank you for the clarification.
You are a good student.
No, you're such a master, Guruji. So, our teaching becomes easy. But it still becomes hard when we go and live a normal life, right, Guruji? How to stay connected and how. So the question today that we want to talk about, Guruji, is let's say, right, somebody who's been completely immersed in fear, in anger, in do this, don't do that, I should make so much money, this is how my children should be, this is how, we all grow up with imagining those roles, and then we come to a point, and I think this COVID was that point for a lot of people, where you started thinking about life. So how does one who's just started thinking about this begin his spiritual journey? So we want to talk about what should a layman in a city life do
Yes.
to get on the path?
Yes, that is why how to begin the journey.
Yes, Guruji.
Yes. So, two things I would like to bring into your notice. First thing, suppose we have a robot with artificial intelligence. And if you know how to give the right message, it will make your life very easy. Everything can be done through that robot. Suppose you don't know much about the technology of that. You don't know how to handle it. What will happen? Even a car with artificial intelligence, if you don't know how to give the right message, the journey can be miserable.
Yeah.
Same way, we have an intelligence. That intelligence has two phases. In our brain, we have two lobes. The right lobe is controlling the left muscle. I mean, left muscular, the feminine muscle. And the left brain is controlling the masculine muscle, right side. But some people will have the, some left-handed people are there, but very rare. But usually, right brain is controlling our ego, limited ego. Left brain is controlling the cosmic ego. So we have two personalities within. One is called Vyashti, means individual ego. Vyashti, limited ego. The other one is cosmic ego. It's called Samashti in Sanskrit.
What is it called?
Samashti.
Samashti.
The totality. Yes.
Okay.
It's the totality.
Yeah.
So Vyashti is the feeling of I, me, and my. So that always project I. But the right brain is always projecting we, the totality. I cannot survive alone.
That's the right brain. That's the right brain. Okay.
Right
so the right
brain
is we. The right brain is we.
Right brain is we.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right brain is we. Okay.
That is Pingala.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering. The Pingala is we.
Yes.
Pingala is the Ushna Tattva, right? So that's, but it's we.
Surya. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So this Vyashti and Samashti must go hand in hand. There must be a proper harmony between the I and we. So if we fail to have this identification or the understanding with the cosmic rules, the totality, the feeling of we will have some kind of illness. So that is why in medical field, the feeling of I will bring illness. But the feeling of we will bring wellness. So we should be able to handle these two lobes of our own brain with a proper understanding. So if you don't know how to handle the machine with artificial intelligence, the only way to study, know more about it. Same way, this intelligence, a link, a connection, a harmony between the individual intelligence and cosmic intelligence. If we don't know how to handle it, we must learn it. That process is called yoga. So now we have to start how to begin that inner understanding, inner education. Yes.
Wow. So what you're saying is that even in one human, right, one human brain, we have the capability to understand our connection and our role as in this deha, in this body. And we also have the ability to understand the role we have in the cosmos.
Yes.
And understanding and harmonizing that is what yoga is. And that is where we begin our spiritual journey.
Yes.
Okay, Guruji. Okay, so that being said, firstly, I'm completely confused about how Pingala, which I thought was so aggressive, is controlling the we.
Yes.
So I'm confused about that. I want to clarify that.
So again, our right brain is usually controlling the left side. That is feminine side. Feminine feeling is more intuitive.
Shakti. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So left brain is masculine. It is more intellectual. Now you got it?
Now I got it. Because it's the female, that the female is the, like, you know, the mother's nature is that nurturing, connecting, giving, all of that. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, Guruji. So that being said, where does a person begin? Where do we begin with yam niyam discipline? Where do we in our physical life? So last time you offered us a practice, Guruji, of, you know, that to find connection with ourselves, to sit with our back straight, to hold our breath as much as we can, and to release. And the most important thing you said was to keep the back straight so that the spine, you know, kind of pass that prana or the breath through.
Yes.
So that's one way to start. What else can we do in our daily life? You know, when somebody's just never done any of this and wants to make a start.
Okay. So now we can go through yama niyama, but in a very, very, you know, practical way. We don't want to go through the sophisticated lessons of yoga. Be practical.
Yes.
Which should digest in our common sense. Yoga has, or the personal management has 3 levels. One is a healthy physical management. Second is the achievements through our mental ability, mind management. Third level is perfect understanding of the value, the existence, secret of our own life. That is spiritual. So physical, mental, spiritual planes are there. Now we should ask ourselves which plane or which planes we have to explore. If we have to explore the physical plane, we have to go through certain food management, food discipline, and some kind of exercise and breathing exercise. That is enough. For having a healthy body, we can go through the basic lessons. For exploring the mental potential, we have to go through certain levels of meditation. It should be a guided meditation, or we should have a guidance for exploring the inner level. But third level is spiritual exploration. If we want to explore the spiritual level, the so-called rules and regulations will be contradicting to the spiritual law. Like, I have my children. Basic lesson or physical attachment, mental attachment say that these are my children. I love them. I live for them. Yes. But spiritual horizon or spiritual dimension will say that nothing is belonging to you. Even your body is not yours. So there renunciation comes. Parityaga. Nothing is interconnected or nothing is liable to you. So now we should ask whether we have to go to the physical plane or mental plane or spiritual plane. People are thinking that yoga means sitting somewhere and meditate. No, meditation has these 3 levels. If you explore physical one, stick your practice to that way. If you want to go further, take that lessons. When you go to, suppose there is a ladder, you are standing on floor, you decide to climb the first level. When you climb first level, you are renouncing your comfortable stay on the earth. You are leaving that, renouncing it. Tyaga means you are leaving it. Suppose you decide, no, the first step is not enough. I have to climb up. Okay, climb up. Then you are leaving the connection from your first step. So like that, as you advance in the ladder, many planes of existence will be renounced. This should be a very serious understanding for every practitioner. So we should fix the goal first. Based on that, we should get into the practice. Again, I am not making you scared.
No, not at all, Guruji. I'm finding it very useful. I'm not scared. I'm just looking like this because I'm trying to connect all the other things that I know. I'm trying to get an understanding. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So many people want to have a good life. They want to eat what they like to eat. They want to have a glass of wine every evening. So that's their habit. Right. But if I say, okay, yoga, go through the yama niyama, you should give up non-vegetarian, you should give up liquor, you should give up your physical enjoyments. How is it possible in a modern life? But there must be a proper understanding. If I want to have a stable mind, I want to advance in meditation, I must understand what is the raw material for creating my mind. Our body and mind are produced from the food we eat. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said, Annat Bhavandi Bhodani. Everything is based on the food molecule. So if I eat a mango, within 4 to 6 hours, that mango will be converted itself into my body. All molecules will be disintegrated, its genes will be properly broken, and my identity will be engraved in that one.
Right.
This is what is happening. So it will be completely transformed into my body.
Right.
But the mango doesn't have any other desire, emotional upset, nothing is there. So my intelligence can write over that because it is a blank paper.
Right.
So instead of that mango, if I eat a piece of chicken, the basic molecule of the chicken is a cell. Cell is having a proper, like a photocopy, imprint of that chicken. It has emotion, it has pain, it has pleasure, many things, because there was a brain. So from that piece of chicken, I create my body, and it has a tendency to move here and there. You can see chicken always, not this broiler one. Naturally, chickens are always active. They want to eat something, check for food, always they are active.
Right.
So the basic tendency of the cell is activity.
Right.
Moving. Right. So I make my body and mind through that cells.
Right.
How can I expect a stable mind by providing an unstable molecule? Very simple. You are what you eat. This is the science behind it. But you see, vegetarian food, it is always facing sun only. All trees you can see, it will compete to get sunlight. They absorb sunlight, absorb fertilizers and water from the earth, process it. That will give you only protein, mineral, vitamins, everything which will support your system, but there is no emotion. So you don't want to put a lot of effort to clean the emotion and write your emotion over that.
That was so beautifully explained.
Yes. So basic lesson is food management. That is what is called the yama practice. Again, the technical meaning of yama is killing. Yamaraja. He is the god of death. But its meaning is, if you have a bad habit, a habit which you don't want, you should kill it mercilessly. That is the meaning.
Ah, wow. That was so useful, Guruji, what you said. I'm going to just summarize it again. Is so that we have three planes: a physical plane where, you know, it's much easier. Everything is very gross. It's the gross reality.
Yes.
There's a mental plane, which I want to ask you another question about. And then there is a spiritual plane, which is a much higher state, which is much more connected to the universe. And right now we are on this gross plane on the earth and doing all worldly activities. And when we want to rise above, the only way is to give up some of this gross plane, to give us or some of this, you know, these things. And where do we start by giving up? What do you give up? You know, like you said, that if somebody is going to make a strong list of rules and say no, 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 it's going to be hard to follow that without really understanding it. And a great point that you brought up is your food is such a great place to start, because as you're consuming food, you are consuming the nature of what you eat.
Yes. That's
and
right.
and when you consume the nature of certain foods which are either not vegetarian, or you're basically, like you said, you're kind of, that disintegrates and it kind of diffuses in your body,
True.
adding that imprint on your own imprint. And again you are struggling against the work that you want
Yes.
to do.
True.
So, and the other beautiful explanation, which was just brilliant, is when we say yama. So, for everybody who's listening, in the Ashtanga, you know, the eight limbs of yoga, yama is the first one.
Hmm.
And thanks, Austin. Yama is the first one, you know, the yama and the niyam, the don'ts and the do's. And yama also means Yamraj, which is the energy of death or the god of death. And anything that we don't want in our lives, any habit, we start by killing those one by one.
Yes. That's all.
And just, you know, Guruji, as you're saying this, I'm thinking it's so true that we know what we have to change. Like as a human
Yes.
being, we all know, I know on a daily basis what I have to give up. But it's very hard sometimes, Guruji. So what you're saying is that deciding and making and saying that this is what I'm going to give up, making it formal helps. Is that what you said?
I can give some more definition about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, suppose a person is keep on smoking. He is an addict of smoking.
Mm.
Internally, he wants to quit it, but he cannot do because he is addicted.
Mm-hmm.
There, he should take a decision to kill that bad habit.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga can help him. You know how? Simply start doing that proper lesson for him mentioned by the experienced master. Basic lesson. There he should do that. If he is lazy on that, he should kill that laziness deliberately. That is yama.
Mm-hmm.
If he can practice doing that, eating clean food, he want to quit smoking. For that, he started eating clean food, doing some basic pranayama. Then what will happen? In his body, there is a gland which can fight against nicotine.
Mm-hmm.
So the continuous application of nicotine over, pressed the gland, the activity, the efficiency of the gland is suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Then the nicotine effect captured his nerve center. But when we give clean food along with the breathing exercise, that gland can be activated. When the gland is activated, the nicotine will be rejected in a better way. Then he will start losing the interest or the enjoyment of nicotine. Just for example, you see, if you take an apple, smell it first, then eat it slowly. If you gradually eat it, maybe 1.5 apples only you can eat. Then you will feel that, enough. Because you will get a bad taste in your mouth. Then you will feel enough. Actually, what is the chemistry behind it? The smell, the aroma, the taste, everything will be reported to brain. And immediately brain will go through the analysis and it will come to know how many grams of apple can be digested in the system. Once, suppose 100 grams enough. So once we consume 100 gram, the gland will be activated. The brain will say, come on, now produce another hormone. Or that gland will produce another hormone, then no more taste with the apple. The enjoyment is gone. Then you will say, enough. If that gland is not functioning, what will happen? You keep eating. Like people drink apple juice. If you eat maybe 1 or 1.5 apple, but if you put in a blender 2 or 3, then you blend it, put some honey or something, then you drink. And body doesn't know how to calculate it because it is, changed its aroma. And yes, you're fooling the system. So this technique can be applied. Our system, body has tremendous capability to handle everything. So this is why Yama Niyama is appreciated. So deliberate effort to kill our bad habits. For activating that habit, that tendency, we have to go through certain disciplines. That is what is called Niyama, rules and regulations. That's all. Very simple. One more thing you said, renunciation. Renunciation is not simply giving up. Understanding is the right way of renunciation. Like as I told you, my daughters are my beloved things. I cannot, simply renounce them. I cannot give up my children. But I will give up my ignorance. Though they are my children, they are perfect individuals. That is my understanding. They are the children of Mother Nature. I am only a custodian in the name of Father. Then the feeling of ownership, my possession is gone. Still I am being with them, I enjoy them, but my wrong understanding that they are my children, that is gone. This is what is called renunciation. Understanding the reality behind all molecular existence is called renunciation.
Wow, that's great. It's so great. And, Kapil, I'm looking at your question. What you explained makes it sound so simple, Guruji, that even if we want, for example, when you use the smoker's example, something is wrong for you. Instead of saying, I cannot have it, you cultivate something. You cultivate your natural intelligence of your body. Yes. Instead of you rejecting it through your intellect, allow the intelligence of your body to say, this is not for me. And, being an Ayurvedic practitioner, Guruji, being a Vaidya, what you said was just great, that when we use all our senses for our food, we smell it, we allow our body, right, to make a measurement of, it's like a tailor measuring what needs to be done. So your body is making that measurement of the intelligence is coming alive of how much consumption needs to happen of this substance. And we can honor that. And when we kind of keep cultivating that practice, and when somebody asks, this sounds difficult, to me, I feel like this is the most easiest path anybody has given, where there is no hard do's and don'ts. It's constantly coming back to cultivate your internal intelligence.
Yes.
Right? And that internal intelligence is possible through yoga and the awareness it creates.
Yes. That's possible. Yes.
Okay, great, Guruji. I'm a little confused about the difference between the mental. Are these the koshas that you're talking about? The Annamaya, or is it something else? What is the difference between the mental and the spiritual plane? Can you explain that a little further?
Okay. Like body, we know it's a gross molecule, or molecules are there. We have the organs. Everything is tangible. But there is something which is beyond our senses, which we call mind. We know we have mind, but where is it? Mind is subtle existence of the matter. So matter can be understood, it can be analyzed, it can be discussed, derived, different ways. But mind is beyond all these functions. That is why it's called Manomaya Kosha. It is there, molecule, but beyond the senses. Then beyond the mind, from where the mind and matter evolved, the reality remains. That is what is called Vijnanam, Vijnanamayam and Anandamayam. That planes cannot be understood through our intellectual cogitation. No way. There we have to give up the dependence of our senses. That is why masters very clearly said, Yoga, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Just give up your mind. Then only you can go beyond that. Even you will not have a memory. That is what I told you in the beginning. If we want to explore spiritual planes, we should be ready to give up our body, mind, everything should be given up. Otherwise, we cannot go to the spiritual plane. You might have heard about Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When you reach to Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you will not have a body, you will not have a mind, you will not have anything. Something will be there which is beyond explanation. And yoga practitioners think that, oh, I can in the Brahma Muhurta, I can sit and meditate, achieve Brahma Jnana. No. They can go to physical and mental plane and they can manage this one and get a better understanding about their existence. When we learn A, B, C, D alphabets, then we will be able to make a word, then we will make sentences, then we will establish into that language. Now we are into this A, B, C, D.
Yeah, that's so, that's great. You know, it's so funny, Guruji, right? The whole, I don't know, since morning, today I've just been, you know, I have this feeling that the universe, and somebody just said the same thing, but I have just had this feeling that the universe flows through me and I flow through the universe. And I don't know why but it just keep repeating in my mind since this morning. And my heart is really feeling full. And what you said, you know, it's so funny that our whole culture is based on gaining control, right? Oh, have control over your mind, have more knowledge, have control. And the whole spiritual path is of surrender.
Surrender to what?
Just letting go of mind, right? Like letting go of all of these and exploring what's beneath that.
Yes, surrender to your, right brain. That's all.
Yeah, surrender to your right brain.
Right brain, yes.
So how do you surrender to your right brain?
Which is directly linked with your instinct.
So just keep constantly surrendering. It's lovely, right, Guruji? I feel the same, that every question has the same answer, is within.
Because that is the only reality. Egam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. The reality is egam, means one. Whatever questions you ask to me, I will come to that answer only. Know yourself. Because that is the reality. The other things are manifesting as multitude of things. But like Swami Vivekananda very clearly said, if you know one grain of sand, you will come to know the whole universe. We cannot go and count each and every, sand. Every grain we cannot count it. But take one grain of sand and understand fully what is, from where that grain of sand is developed, how the energy transformed itself into a matter. The moment you come to know about that grain of sand, you are exposed into the reality of universe. That is why know yourself and know everything.
Right, right. So Guruji, now my one question, as I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about my life, there is a question that came to my mind. And which is, when do I know, right, that yes, when I listen to my instinct, it becomes easy. But like there are certain places in my life where I'm very, very torn. And I want to give you one example of that, right, Guruji, just to make it easier. So I think I've learned to understand when something comes from my instinct and feels natural, and when something feels tight, feels like a charge.
Yes.
But then there's some places that I feel very confused. For example, here I'm living in the US. I have very limited family, and I'm raising 2 children. And part of me says that this is how the universe wants it. This is the design of the universe, that I'm here so far away, and this is where the children are supposed to be. There is a part of me which says, "Oh, if they move to India, we will have so much family. That's my punya bhumi. That's where they will have all of this." And this is one place where I'm constantly torn, and I know very many people in their life are constantly torn. And because I had a Jain upbringing, we have this concept of vyavhar and nischay. And the concept of vyavhar and nischay is that where do you act and where do you not act. And I'm guessing the answer again is to listen to my instinct, but I want to get a sense of how would I go about this.
Okay. See, now in this question, how many times you said I? So you are asking a question, what should I do? To whom? To the world. So you are trying to search for your answer from an external entity, either a person or an ideology, whatever it is. There we miss our goal.
What is my goal?
There we are missing your goal, because your goal is to find the answer. Instead of searching within yourself, you are searching outside. This is the issue. Like modern, we are educated to use our organs. You want to know what a human being is. In ancient times, during Hitler's time, they used to open a live body to see what is happening inside. How cruel it was, because they wanted to see through their eyes. They opened the body to see how the heart is beating. They opened the live head to see how brain is functioning. Could they understand something about that? Nothing. Because when they open, life is gone. They see only some matter. Even if they see through a microscope, a different manifestation of the molecule is seen. Just for example, that is why modern science is totally confused now. Like before microscope, modern science was not accepting that there was a microorganism. But thousands of years ago, in Ayurveda and Yoga, it is clearly mentioned, Anu. Anu means Anoraniyan Mahadu Mahayan. Anu means something like atom. The energy manifestation which is beyond our senses. So that's why Ayurveda clearly mentioned was Krimi, Anu, it's microorganisms which are creating problems. So after they found the microscope, invented the microscope, they saw a bacteria. Then said, yes, now we found the problem of everything. Now the cause of all these problems. They declared. Fantastic. It was a phenomenal achievement. Correct. But when they saw this bacteria or virus or whatever it is, which was having a particular shape, maybe a one horn and one tail, and 2 legs. They saw, oh, this is the guy who was creating all problems. We saw the microorganism. But after 1 year, the next version of microscope came. Then with that modified microscope, they tried to see this bacteria. Then they found 2 horns and 4 legs. Then they got confused. Oh, then we should go to the subtle level again. They invented a new microscope. Looked through that, 20 legs and 20 tails. Then, which is true? As the device is changing, the object keeps changing. That's all. This is what is clearly said in Ayurveda and Yoga, anavastha dosham. Means, nothing is having a particular shape. As the device changes. The capability of your organs changes. The manifested world will be changing. So if you try to find an answer through your senses from external world, it is like a mirage. You keep searching and finally you will feel tired. The same time, your inner mind will say, yourself will say, hey, why are you running here and there? I am here. Look carefully. Then answer is there. But you should learn how to withdraw your senses and focus within yourself. Then you will find answer. You said you are an Indian. Now you are staying in America. You know the ideology of India? Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. The whole universe is my family. Then why do you feel that you are in America? Huh?
Wow, Guruji, that was lovely. That was such a good answer. And it's so funny because I tell everybody the same thing. Oh, you know what? Don't search through your senses. And here I am searching through my senses, searching outside. And what a great thing that, yeah, the whole world is my family. So does not matter where I am, does not matter where I live, because you know, that's what the whole science is about, that we are connected to the whole universe. Forget India.
Of course, wherever your 5 elements are mentioned by the cosmic law, you will be available there. It is not with your will. Last time I told you, know, how many gallons of oxygen you will consume for activating your mind and all systems. And how many gallons of carbon dioxide you will liberate. That carbon dioxide should be used for other living organisms. Or each and every molecule is properly designed, calculated very well. That cosmic design, which we call destiny, will play everywhere. Today you are sitting in America, you may think that, yes, now I am sitting in America. Suppose tomorrow your breath, your air is calculated and provided in Africa by nature. Whatever may be the reason, that particular time you will be available there. You may say that, oh, some unexpected thing come, so okay, that is why I flew to Africa like that. Intellectual explanations, you know, like justifications we will make. And internally we know very well that these are all external drama, justifications for convincing our brain or our intellect. But it is happening by the nature's instruction. That instruction is clearly engraved in each and every gene in your body. So you cannot change it. But again, then you may ask, then what I should do? Know about yourself. Who engraved these ideas in your gene? Find it. Then life will be a different festival. Yes.
Wow. Obviously, thank you, Pooja. I needed that hug. Guruji, yeah, and I'm thinking that today, the whole world, the whole generation, our culture is about creating these belief systems. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you shouldn't do that. There is so much more of a responsibility towards ourselves to constantly find that connection. Because in a way, maybe, I don't know, maybe all times were like this, but at least right now it seems like there is so much of do this and should not, and belief systems. You should live here, you should do this, this is how you should raise your children. And you're right, the true answer is always here, is always what you feel. So Guruji, with that, today we have about 10 minutes, can you do a little practice with us? That we can, while you're here in your presence, can we do a little practice that anybody who's listening, we can connect with ourselves and do a little bit of that today. Can we do that?
Okay. I have sent a video to KK, Krishna. And of course, he wants to clear some doubts and he will send to you how to do the pranayama. Okay. Of course, I will give you some informations. When you get that, you can get into practice. Right. Just now you said few more things like belief and do this and do that. Why are you being carried away with these do's and do nots from external stimulation? Because you fail to read yourself. That is why if you don't know you will be forced to believe.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you know, why should we believe?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
belief system is for collecting people for achieving some target socially.
Mm-hmm.
That is why yogi is not a social being. Yogi is a cosmic being. Society is a team of people gathered together for their shelter or executing something for proper, like management of society, living styles and traffic and everything. There are man-made rules for making things easy, but it has nothing to do with the cosmic reality. So one society's good things are uh, defined as bad things with the other society. See, like in Africa, some tribal guys, when the father dies, they open the heart and the son will eat the heart of the father. Is it a good practice? But for that society, it is good. They have to follow the instruction. And some societies are believing in something and they start fighting with others because they are not sure. If you are not sure in a particular thing, you will be forced to believe.
Right.
But if you are sure, if there is sufficient light, who is bothered about darkness?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is an experience for you. So
Yes.
like that, you should look inside and go beyond the beliefs. It doesn't mean that you have to fight with everybody. You can be silent with certain things.
Yes.
So like many people come to me, they want to impose their ideas and sentimental things on me. I smile at them because I know very well about myself and my stomach is full. And why should I spend time for him? But same time, I will not resist. Let him enjoy putting some words on me and be happy and go. If that idea is making him happy, I can keep my silence and then listen my silence. Anyhow, practice this. This is what is called mauna. Mauna means silence. Listen our inner silence. Start enjoying that silence. And we can hear that silence. We will become a mauna. Mauni means a muni. Muni means an established sage in Sanskrit. So everybody has a muni within. So we should slowly explore it. That's all. Okay?
Guruji, you're the 100th person in my life who's always come back to Mauna. I feel like it keeps coming back to Mauna for me. From all directions, the universe is telling me to practice Mauna. So now, since it's coming from you, I'm going to have to give it a shot, Guruji, and I'm going to practice Mauna. And just one last question, Guruji, is, and somebody, when it comes to duties, right? That when it comes to duties, again, do you think each person defines their own duties with what they believe is right? Right? So duties towards our parents, duties towards our children, how do those get defined? Because it's so different for everybody.
Yes, it's different for everybody. And why do we bother about others? If I feel as a husband, I should be, lovable, and I should be honest with my wife. Wherever I feel comfortable, I should make myself available for her. That's my law. Other person has nothing to do with explanation how a husband should be. It is subject to me. If I am incapable of listening or understanding my inner duty, I will ask my friend, hello, becoming a good husband, what I should do. How logic it is. To my mother. My mother is my feeling. How can someone else explain that how logical you should be with your mother? It doesn't make sense. When I see my mother, it should come from within. It is beyond words. When I think of my mother, I can smell her. I can feel her warmth. So what is the necessity of explanation? See, like people celebrate Mother's Day. I laugh at them. Some people come and ask today Mother's Day. Hey, Baba, your heart is beating because of your mother. Your brain is functioning because of your mother. Then how can you keep a particular day for your mother? So these things are beyond time, space, and causation. That depth our attention should reach. This is why I said the whole life will become a festival ground, but the noise will not irritate us because we listen our inner silence. So we immerse in that silence and live in this festival ground. Be everywhere, but not touch anywhere. This is what we should achieve. The inner guru will be guiding everybody to be in that level of existence. That is what is called Prakriti Laya. So we are in total blend with nature.
Wow. To be in a state where everything, you're all, that festival ground is there, everything drama is there, and you can still be in touch with your inner guru.
Yes.
And be a witness to everything, but not engage with anything in a manner that gets you trapped.
Yes, you will become a perfect monitor for yourself. Yeah. Wherever you will be comfortable, you will get engaged. Wherever is against you, you will be technically handling the situation.
So you're just flowing through life. You're flowing through life. Where you get stuck, you take a turn.
Of course, this is why it is clearly mentioned that life is like a sail in the rough ocean. So if you know how to handle the waves, you will enjoy your sailing. If you don't know, you will be totally lost there. You will be crying, you will be fighting against the mighty wave until you are lost over there. But learn the comfortable track, get the comfortable track, guide your boat through the waves, then you will enjoy the infinite ocean. Life is like that. Yoga can explore that clear sailor from within.
Wow. And one of the words you said, Guruji, I want to repeat that word for everybody who's listening. Two things. One is duty. I think the word duty should be replaced by the word inner duty. You know, that is, I think, so big because we make it so serious on ourselves. Oh my God. But really, the inner duty is what duty is. That's the one thing. And Pragati Laya, to just be flowing with nature.
Yes.
Is the state of being that we should be in. So Guruji, before we end, I just want to say that, so what you said today, how do we begin this spiritual journey, is again by tuning into ourselves, understanding what are our demons that we need to kill. And by deep understanding of that, and by replacing, instead of saying, oh, I don't have to do this, firstly understanding what it does to my body, and then saying, how do I develop my own inner intelligence?
Yes.
And that inner intelligence, some of the tools you gave us today were, Guruji, was last time you gave us the tool of sitting and breathing. Yeah. You also gave us the tool of Mauna today.
Yes.
And you also gave us the tool of working with the master and understanding from him, whether to do whether we want to do a little bit of pranayam or what other work we can do to cultivate that inner intelligence.
Yes.
So that we can, for every question that we have, we keep going back to it. And as we keep working with you, Guruji, and going deeper, we will do more and more of that. But for now, these are great tools to start exploration. Am I correct?
Yeah, correct. So I will send that video to Krishnaji. You collect from him and just go through that. Definitely you will have some questions. In our next session, I will clear that doubts. Then you can go through the practice. Whatever exercise you do, like now everybody is doing some kind of exercise like aerobics or yoga or some.
Yeah, I do yoga
regularly. Keep doing that, but make sure that people who are getting time for walking, like 2 to 3 kilometers, everybody should walk. It's a basic necessity because our body created by nature in that, monkey species. So monkeys are like, they climb on their trees, they jump from here to there. So like that, we are in the same species. So we have to use our limbs for walking. So jogging, I will not recommend because sometimes it may affect our knees. But walking is necessary. 2 to 3 kilometers, everybody should do that. Some kind of stretches, either dancing or yoga or whatever it is. But make sure that minimum 20 minutes, you should sit on floor for the pranayama and meditation. That will work as a foundation. Two bala means energy, annabala and pranabala. Annabala can be food strength or the energy you can manage by having natural food. As I told you, eat as vegetable as possible, fruits as possible. Whatever you want, chew it and eat. Then take away the machine from the life, like mix, blender and all these things. Whatever you want, chew it and eat. Second thing, things which are like not capable of taking or good for eating directly, you can steam it. Steamed vegetables or steamed other things, you can have it. Third thing, like food, annabala, food management, and the second one is pranabala. Sit with that. Slowly you will go to manobala. That is happening spontaneously. No need to have any deliberate effort. Manage with 2 levels, then you will come to know how efficient you are in the mental level. How the different, secret planes are being revealed to you. It's a proper understanding. That is what is called Sakshi Rupena Darshana. Witness. You have to be a witness for your inner development. There is no comparison because everybody is created by nature as a unique creation. Nobody is having the same thumbprint. So we have no right to compare with others. Because there is nobody like you. We can compare our yesterday's mental plane and today's mental plane. How we were in the 1 year ago, how fit I am today. So like that we can analyze. That's all. So this deep inner observation will slowly take everybody to the right destination.
Beautiful, Guruji. Beautiful. That was such a useful session, Guruji. Can't wait to do more, to hear this again, and to keep on the path and get on the path. Thank you so much, Guruji, for your precious time. And if next Wednesday the same time is convenient, we'll continue the same time. So it's much easier. Okay. Pranam, Guruji.
Thank you.
Pranam.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Pranam for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.